got this like investigative.
Sorry, continue.
So I was just notified that you were recording. So one is investigative drama, but it's based on true events. It's based on like current issues, like social economic issues in America, but we're like slightly dramatizing things. And it has to do with mental health, and it has to do with like teen like drama, etc. So like we're taking something real that matters. It's kind of like what as I grow up, that's kind of like what I want to be doing as a filmmaker more and more. So be able to like craft something that's genre, craft something that's, breathtaking and compelling and uh even, like yeah, one I guess could say visually daring and mind bending and what have yous, but that it can lead to important conversation, that can fuel important conversations. If I can speak on behalf of those who like feel like they don't have a voice, then even better. I feel like for Braid, what was really beautiful was the fact that I felt like I was writing and directing something so peculiar, so strange, and but it was pure. It was just like it was some people are like, oh, style over substance. And I'm like, that comment doesn't faze me because I'm Italian. And style for me is a way of being, and it's how I was raised. And there is nothing that can change that. So I don't feel accused of like, I don't know, just like preferring like aesthetics over content, because that's my cultural background.
Yeah.
It's so I'm like, or whatever. So that's the biggest critique the Braid got. And I'm like, so you guys are upset that it was too pretty? Okay, got it. So anyway, just like, depending on cultures, like some people are like drawn to like, oh, every image looked look like a painting, etc. But then like some, certain audience members are just not used to that and like instantly like reject it, saying, I feel like that happens a lot with women who do stylistic films. I feel like women and style often get criticized of that. And it's a double standard because it's kind of like saying, oh, she's too pretty to have a brain. Like that's literally what that means. It's like, oh, the film is too good looking to have a mind of its own. And that criticism never gets applied to men. If men do like, visionary uh aesthetics, etc., they're called, oh, he's a genius, he's a visionary, etc. But like women often I feel like get the short end of the stick with whenever we take chances from a stylistic standpoint. So anyway, back to Braid. Yeah, I felt like I was doing something like so unique and specific, etc. And what blew me away was the amount of people that felt like the movie truly spoke to them and moved them, because they felt like the overarching feedback was, this really like, I have never seen a film like this, and I have been mentally in that headspace many times of like feeling stuck in your own habits, stuck in your own like weird, like strange, like, repetitive thoughts and like dark, like imagery and things that, like we're all trapped in a sense, not trapped, but like we are the captors and the prisoners of our own mind. We all live within the walls of our imagination, and that can be applied to anything, literally. That's why I was like so curious about exploring the concept of adults playing make believe. It's like, it's so strange that we wake up and not wake up, we were born and we, sorry, my dog, move. Great. I have and she's right, she just like this whole time she's been like playing with me, playing with me, playing with me. I'm like, eh. So that's what I'm like, I keep like trying to like not get this, so annoying. So anyway, like imagination can really, it really is. I believe that imagination is the motor of the universe. I truly, and lots of different people said it throughout history. And I think, I don't know, I was like reading about Waldo Emerson's work recently. It say something along the lines of like imagination the way, and so of, but it's true that like so much of what we have, how we feel more than how it is. There is a subjective element to reality that really is shaped. We can interpret things differently according to how we feel, or like what experiences we've had, what kind of trauma we've had, etc. And so I was like, we were born, we play make believe, and like, what is it that draws children, without anybody telling them to, they instantly are like, oh, I'm going to play make-believe, I'm going to rehearse for life, essentially. And then we stop, but then we take on these roles, these ideas, etc., and we start getting into the same motions of like, I want to be a filmmaker and I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, but like it really did, like the thoughts are the ancestors of actions. And so I just wanted to really explore the idea of adults and their imagination and like how we can, yeah, be like cooped up in our own fears, our patterns of like toxicity, of self-destruction and dreams and nightmares, etc. And but also with the idea that, you know, like it's a double-edged sword. Like imagination can do so much for us. It can help us like visualize like the future literally, and like help us like, you know, get on the way for like of our dreams, etc. But it also can keep us trapped in the sense that, like, you know, like if you daydream your whole life, that you never get to like actually step out of your comfort zone, which is like that house. The house is like this like this deep part of the brain, like the hypothalamus, where like fears and desires and like early childhood memories are all wrapped up. But if we always stay there, you know, the prefrontal cortex is like what helps us like make like sound judgment, etc. If we're always stuck in these familiar patterns, then, you know, we never take chances, we never get out, and by the time we realize that, it's too late. And that's why the girls are old in the end and they're still playing. It's kind of like a cautionary tale in a weird way of being like, dreams are great, but like bring into action, you know. It's like, that's why I go forever my beauty, for time and dreams is frozen. It's like their like reality won't attack you, but sure, if you like stay asleep your whole life, then what is life for? So yeah.
No. I mean, really, I wanted to ask you if you read Aldous Huxley, Philip Dick, because in a way, these are authors that deal with the perception of
Huxley is my favorite author, or one of my favorite authors ever. Like genuinely, like I feel like I either like dated Basquiat, Jean-Michel Basquiat, the painter, or Aldous Huxley, but we missed each other by a few decades, unfortunately. That didn't work out. But no, I love Huxley. I'm obsessed with him. One of the things that I'm working on right now is a sci-fi, and the opening quote is a quote by Huxley. That's something along the lines of like, propaganda helps. It's like something along the lines. I don't want to butcher it, but it has to do with propaganda and the fact that like a totalitarian regime uses propaganda to like force to seduce its people to build the walls of their own imprisonment, essentially. I've had enough of you. Stop.
You remind me a lot.
So
Sorry, I have a good friend of mine. She's an actress. She's a horror fan, and she's like this Argentinian scream queen, because she's in every horror film in Argentina. She's studying in New York, actually. I would like you to meet her, because you're just like her. She's passionate. He studied philosophy, and now she's an actress. I mean, she loves Huxley.
Love that. I love that so much. Yeah, Those of Perception and that those books are all there. I literally picked up Doors of Perception. I don't know, I was like 19 or 20, and I literally picked it up because I had a beautiful book cover. It's just like I had like this like trippy, like spirally, like hypnotic thing. And I'm like, I don't know what this book is about, but and then it just like it blew my mind. Obviously, you know, once the doors of perception will open, reality will display itself.
It's amazing. Actually, I have the whole collection of Aldous Huxley here in. I have the Brave New York, Return to Brave New World, The Doors of course, and also I have different essays he wrote that are amazing, and all the the experimentation diaries with all LSD and all that. After reading that, do you think the necessity of try all this experience? Because a friend of mine, Gil Clavin, who did an amazing film called The Wave, before shooting the film, he started experimenting with different drugs, psychedelic drugs, even not ayahuasca, but he tried to, in order to connect with his experience, so he was able to express this in a visual, concept.
Right. Yeah, no, definitely. I'm 30, one now, but definitely when I was in my mid-20s, I experimented. I took my fair amount of mushrooms and acid for sure. Good
And
time.
I don't know, but I mean, what did you discover? I mean, because before doing that, you read the Huxley, so you in a way you have like a guide to that world. What did you discover then?
What I can tell you that I definitely saw was so I was at a music festival, and actually the full story is that I was 25 and I had written Braid, but I didn't have any connections. Like, I'm from Italy, moved to New York in 19. I come from a family of veterinarians. Like, nobody in my family is an artist. Like, my dad, my grandpa used to tell me, "Prendi l'arte, mettila da parte." Take art, and you got it, obviously, because like, take art. And then I was like, cool, thanks, Grandpa. Like, great advice. And so, like, I don't come from a family that, God bless them, my family, like drowned me in art history, opera, etc., architecture, which all led to, I often write scenes thinking that I'm writing, like, without subconsciously, like, I realize, especially after I filmed them, I realized that I'm like writing with an operatic tempo of like a question and an answer, a question and
Yeah.
an answer, and third, like, presence of some sorts, like a knocking at the door, or a leak, like dripping. Like, it's just like there's a tempo, there's a rhythm, there's like different, like, and so anyway, so all of that definitely went into, and I learned composition and shots, like symmetry and composition and design, etc., based, like, thanks to like studying history of art. But that being said, I don't come from a family of artists. I didn't formally go to film school. And so I'm 25. I have written in New York City. I have written this screenplay, Braid, and I have no connections. I don't know who to pitch it to. I don't know how to like get financing for it. And at the time, Indiegogo and Kickstarter were the go-tos. But I was like, how is it, like, how am I supposed to raise enough money on these platforms and ask for essentially charity, like donations for free, and then in exchange of what, a t-shirt, a signed DVD? I'm like, this is not a business model. Like, how is this supposed to work? And so I'm at a music festival. I went by myself. Like, I was in those like years of like extreme like self-reliance and exploration. Like, I was like just like very much like bound to like my own desires, and it was incredible. And I went to this music festival by myself. I eventually like met people that I sort of knew and what have you. So I wasn't completely alone, but I had brought my own supplies because I wanted to, I was like, I want to be in control of my experience. And I had this like Ziploc like bag, like a sandwich bag full of mushrooms that I had stuffed in a teddy bear.
Wow.
And I'm going in, like, I was like, see you on the other side, motherfuckers. And so I took most of it, which, like, in retrospect, I'm like, that was a lot. But I wanted the experience. Like, I wanted in fact, I haven't really, that was like kind of a one-off. Like, I haven't done it again, ever. I never did it again. But so the sun was setting. I was at the top of this hill on the original Woodstock grounds, and I could hear like the main stage from far away, just like thumping, like the bass, and I could see the waves of the music, like,
Yeah.
going through these, and the trees waving, and the sky like having this like ripple effect. And what I could see for a fact was that everything was made of the same matter, from my hands to the words that were coming out of my mouth, the music, the trees, the sky, people all around me. And it became clear to me in that moment that I think it was, I don't know if it was not Ramdas. Who is that guy that like does all those like meditations? Anyway, so it became clear to me that we're not, it's not us against the world, but we no longer are like, we're not only part of the world, we are the machine that makes the world go around, in the sense that our our essence, our soul is in a constant dance with the world, and everything happens in this harmonic way where there's no conflict. Everything is working out exactly how it's meant to, this beautiful dance. And so I felt a great sense of release and relief, understanding that I am not at odds with the world. I don't need to fight it. I'm not at odds with the universe. I am the universe, and so are you. And so that was like this like beautiful, like, oh, this is my home. Like the universe is my home. I'm welcome here. And that kind of just like, I feel like it eased off a lot of my anxieties. It eased off a lot of like, just like coming from Europe as like an overtly intellectual teen. I had written a lot of, I mean, I'd read a lot of stuff that was dark, like German romanticism, like romanticized suicide, like thank you, what's his name? The Goethe,
Yeah.
the sorrows of young Werther or Werther or whatever, however you spell it. The sorrows of young Werther. Anyway, it was this book that was going around in high school when I was like 17. That was literally about this guy like writing letters and just like loving the idea of killing himself. And like that definitely like carved some holes in my brain with like the idea, the concept of nihilism, like etc. Or Greek tragedy. Like the Greeks say you cry when you're born because you're no longer like you're in this like hostile place now. So I had all this massive like intellectual baggage, and I have to say that it's working like with mushrooms and LSD definitely helped me be a more positive human being, much more at ease, much less in a constant fight against everything and everybody. So yeah, it was therapeutic. I didn't know it at the time. Now there are like more and more studies are coming out that those who did it, like we knew this, we just like couldn't speak of it in those terms because we didn't have any evidence. But it's been like I mean, somebody like Huxley exactly like knew. So
Have you read Philip Dick, the last books? Because he also experiment, and it's very interesting. I have both Huxley and Philip Dick. The last books of him, he started experimenting with hallucination. I will send you if you want all the.
I actually, confession, I have not read Return to the Brave New World. I have not read.
It's an essay actually. It's an essay when he starts developing all he gets all the ideas for the book. It's kind of very interesting. It's more like an essay. I love the book. But again, Philip Dick in the last period again he starts and I see a connection between them actually because both they have the same experience. Maybe Philip Dick was more introverted. Huxley, the good thing about Huxley, and he was a sociologist. He studied sociology. He studied many things. So he had the ability to experiment all these sensations, but rationalize them in order to write essays. That's wonderful about him. Philip Dick was more like someone who was lost there, and he described what we saw, but still very interesting. I will send you all the books, and so you can read it. And you have to meet the guy. Have you seen the film? It's called The Wave. It's from 2018. It's about the guy who tries a psychedelic drug, but it's kind of a strange drug, and he started experimenting a wave with Justin Long.
I'm very keen to see it.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. And actually, Gil is a friend of mine, the director, and he also experimented before doing the film. You have to meet Gil. Actually, we have a WhatsApp group with producers, director, crazy people in the US and there's one in Austria, 2 Italian directors. If you want, I can join you to the WhatsApp group so we can meet all these guys. Clara is there.
I struggle with group chats.
Oh,
like I'm the person that doesn't talk and like mutes, but I am interested in meeting them. If you send me like their like info, like I can like
I will. I definitely will.
But for me, being in a group chat and then I get like notifications all day, like it drives me insane. Like I tolerate one group chat.
Well, this is kind of a silent group because the only way when someone enters, everybody say hi, they comment, and this is very silent. But you can, if you want, I add you, or I can introduce you one by one, whatever you want. But these are people you should meet because they are amazing people.
I'll accept the invitation to the WhatsApp.
Oh, great. Then I send you the Wave and the other, and also Clara. And tell me, I was reading about different interviews and about you. Which one of the characters it's you, because I know it's one of them, but I'm not sure which one.
I think I am a little bit, I feel like I always, there's a part of me in every character that I write. I feel like I am all of them. Definitely, I feel like Petula, so Amy Waterhouse arc is definitely the most relatable. That's why to me she's the lead, because she goes from a place of feeling like she's in control, like she's the top dog, but then in reality she's like so at loss for understanding and meaning, and like that I relate to that feeling of like, oh God, I don't know, I really don't know the people that surround me. I don't know their intentions, etc. I feel like a few times I've had relationships and friendships, specifically with women, where I felt like, oh, wait a minute. Like, I feel like women are very complex. And no, it's true. It's like, how am I supposed to do this? How am I supposed to film and you're just bothering me? Insane. She's my boyfriend's dog. She's 13 months old. This is Bojack. Bojack instead is like, come here, Bojack. Bojack's so good. Bojack would never bother me. He understands. But this one, anyway, so I definitely feel like women are very complex and very layered, and they're kind of like the silent killers. Like there is a a quiet strategy about being a woman, and it's ingrained in us, because I feel like we're always concerned with striking the right tone, because if we for whatever reason come off just too confident, then we're like considered bossy or difficult. If we're too soft, then we're considered weak. If we're too friendly, we're considered flirtatious. So we're constantly like having to check ourselves for like the way that we come off. Of course, like most men, I mean, not all men like interpret women that way, but like we learn to like to pay attention quietly, and to like have to like, temper ourselves down according to like who we're talking to. And so because of that, I feel like that forces women to have a much more complex psyche, and I feel like that definitely some of the experiences that I had trickled into what Braid's character development ended up being. Of just like they all start off in a way, and then they end up being the opposite way almost. Like Petula seems in control, and then she ends up realizing the one who knows the least, who's the most of all of them. And Tilda, instead, she looks like she's like the sidekick, like she'll do whatever says, etc. She's type B, what have you, type whatever. Just like she's a little bit more subservient, and then you realize that she's the mastermind. and and Daphne starts off as like seemingly unreasonable and out of her mind, and in reality she's not. And she's almost like at the end she sits down and she's like, Petula, like, listen, this is we gotta talk, because this keeps happening. You keep running away, but like you've come here yourself willingly and you want to stay here, but like every time it's kind of like in the end it has like a little bit of that like Shutter Island vibe of like the person that you thought was the hero in reality is like the patient, and it all gets like turned upside down. So I think that we never know. We want to think that we know people, but we truly like never know what everybody harnesses of like their personal traumas, their personal experiences, etc. And so I feel like perhaps like this, like maybe they're all the same character but split into three in a sense. Yeah.
Actually, some of I watched it with my girlfriend, and we were thinking that maybe they are all there is only one real character, and the other two, we don't know which one is the real one, but it's like a kind of a creation of the imagination of the real one. I don't know. I don't know. That's my interpretation, but I don't know if it's right.
It's possible. It's possible. It's definitely possible. I think that that final shot from the shot that's been the most psychoanalyzed was the end
Mm.
with plates, the old woman at the window, which by the way, it's a direct reference to German romantic painting. You're like, duh, but most people are.
Yeah, no, because I'm kind of I am I mean I when I'm kind of a nerdy person. I study art. I studied economics, but at the same time, all this I was my hobby was all the to literature. I studied German literature. I was in France and I have the opportunity, so I am always observing all this. Actually, I found the scene of the opera uh, really disturbing and beautiful at the same time. How you come up with that idea?
So obsessed ever since I was a little kid. I was obsessed with the Figaro aria. I just thought it was loud and fun and like just the idea of this barber who's in high demand and he's just like I thought everybody's calling me Figaro here, Figaro there. Like, and so there's videos of me as a little girl, literally like holding like a little puppet, like going Figaro, 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 etc. So always had, I've always been drawn to it, but I also like, I just like, I fell in love with the idea of these characters are so dysfunctional in society, but they're like opera geniuses. They even die in a artistic way. It's just like the fact that they feel so like such like in intellectual like artistic misfits of like we cannot function in society like literally we cannot function in society only and it's like even like Petula like manages to like not pay for a train ticket because she was like playing dominatrix somewhere like in a dungeon. It's like again like diving into like playing like dress up and make believe etc and imagination and blah and performance and performative arts. And so I just also when they think that they're killing the detective, it's the Don Giovanni playing. That's like Mozart's like aria about, hey, Don Giovanni, here's you called for the devil. You I know you invited the devil to dinner. Guess what? I'm here. And it's like that knock at the door. And it's so I feel like I feel that way. I often like I feel like whenever like I'm living through something, I don't know, it's a silly example, but so my dog, I got her a chew toy, and it's like this lamb chop. Poor lamb chop. This little lamb gets torn apart, and its insides, its fluffy insides, are taken out every day. Every day, this poor thing, there's like fluff everywhere. It looks like that shot from Gone with the Wind that you see like one body and then you see like 1,000, and you're like, God, I have to like this up. Poor lamb chop is like dismembered on to this in the corner. So every night I clean up and I put the insides of this stuffed animal back together so that it can rest for one night. But then the next day, my puppy dismembers it all over again. And it's literally, and I think this is like Greek mythology. This is like, I think it's Perseus that's like tied to the rock and
Yeah,
gets this
yeah,
like
Sisyphus. Ah, no. Yes. How do you say Prometheus?
Prometheus. Exactly. I'm like Perseus. Prometheus starts with a P. Prometheus is like tied to the rock, and an eagle picks his liver
Mhm.
every day. Like, and then it can regrow and like go over the same torch. So I feel like I relate in the sense that like instead of like just like, oh yeah, there's just a stuffed animal. I'm like, oh no, that's not just a stuffed animal, my friend. That's a Greek myth, etc. And so I feel like the girls live that way. They're just like too high on arts and music, etc. And like they're not grounded in any way, shape, or form, then they don't know how to survive in real life. The idea to me that Petula is playing the role of the doctor, and for whatever reason, she feels like having a beard and shaving is like masculine and grounded and grown up, and she's a doctor and she's shaving her beard. And so she's like, what better soundtrack than Figaro, the barber, obviously. So she's like, no, duh. And so, but then that was like, I can send you if you want, like I don't know. So the first thing I ever directed was the concept trailer for Braid. And that scene has been there since the beginning. Like, I didn't even know the full, like, I just, story arc, but I knew that I would have had that scene. And then somebody's like with like opera music blasting, like feathers flying in the air, like that montage. And this girl just like singing in the mirror and blood everywhere, etc. And then somebody's like, "Oh, you referenced Scorsese's Big Shave," and I was like, "What is that?" And they're like, "You never saw it?" I'm like, "No, I've never seen The Big Shave. I didn't know that Martin had a short." And then I saw it, and it's like a guy, no classical music. It's not a woman. It's a guy shaving his, and then it's blood everywhere, etc. And I'm not here in any way, shape, or form to like defend the originality of an idea, because I think the most beautiful thing about art is that it connects us through centuries, through different countries. So it transcends time and space. So I can think of something and realize that somebody else has thought of it already, and now feel slighted and like, oh no, it was my idea. But the idea that like we are all drinking from the same river, it's beautiful. It makes me literally to think that I can read Huxley and feel connected to this man who's dead. And you in Argentina can read Huxley and also have this like sense of like of transcendence, of feeling less alone because some other dude 60 years ago felt the way that you're, or like had the same like intellectual desires or curiosity or weird head trip. And then somebody else, and then you're in the 1600s, you have Pablo Calderon de la Barca, who's like, oh yeah, all life is but a dream. And then you think about the Matrix, and it says the same thing, and we go on and on and on, and it's beautiful that we're all different shaped bottles filled with the same water. And that's kind of like going back to the idea of psychedelics. Fuck, we are really all like taking part of the same conversation, and that's beautiful. That is incredible. That is like what humanity is about. It's that storytelling is our DNA. Like we will die and our dreams will live on. Whatever we write, whatever we sing, whatever we film, etc. That is our legacy as as a whole, like all of humanity. And I think it's beautiful. So I didn't see The Big Shave, but I'm glad that Martin and I have kindred spirits.
Well, it happens a lot when you discover that your idea wasn't so original, someone else did it. But again, it's a conversation. It's what you say. I mean, it's amazing. It's an eternal conversation. And something I have a lot of artists that are afraid of AI right now because. What's your opinion on that? Because really, I have a lot of people tell me I don't know what to think, honestly.
I haven't played with it enough. I know that a lot of people are experimenting with it. I haven't done it. Mostly because I'm a nerd. I love writing. I love doing homework. Like, can I research something? Can I study something? Can I read something? Can I write something? So I don't feel the need to ask AI to do something for me. Like if I can, I don't know, my friend was like, "Oh my God, I was like late for a birthday. I didn't know what to do. I asked the AI to write a birthday card, like a little birthday note to my friend, gave the AI some basic like information, but it ended up writing something so personal and so insightful." And I'm like, I am so obsessed with my own writing that I will reread my own emails. Like it's just I don't feel like even something as corporate and boring as like an email, I still it's still my signature in there, and I would never. I just like I don't feel compelled to use it myself. Um, I understand the feeling of going obsolete for sure, but I think that there is something beyond the end result. So you may get a perfectly written essay, but what are you missing out on? Of course, like if I were a mom and I were to like tell my kids, no, guys, like actually do the work, and they'd be like, why? The AI can do it the same way, even better. And I'm like, well, you're missing out on the journey. You're missing out on like really what's important. You can get to the end of your days having every bit of like your task list, your bucket list done and checked out, but like then did you really do the work? Did you really live? Like and for me, learning and even just like sitting down for a second and feeling like I have to write a birthday note, like it still like has like I still need to create a montage in my head about this friendship and why it's meaningful. Like I would never want to miss out on that. And I feel like the same thing's gonna happen for film. Like you still want to work with a screenwriter who's a human being. You still want to work with a director of photography who's a human being. Like at the end of the day, we don't just make films. Sure, we make films because people gotta get paid. It's $1 billion industry. But like filmmaking is a collaborative effort. It needs to be done with humans, and I feel like that's never gonna. I don't think that's ever gonna change. I another thought that oh yeah, so the thing about dubbing. So the thing about the fall, that movie, The Fall, that they're like with they're replacing the lip movement to match to go to be sure that it can be released within like the motion pictures of America, whatever rules of like, oh, you can't use the word fucking with frigging or something. So on one hand, I'm like, great, because I cringe at the sight of dubbed films, or better, at the sound of it. I hate watching subtitles. I love, because I feel like I'm like getting, it's more of an active uh thing instead of a passive, like watching a movie and just like letting the pictures like wash you over. Like having subtitles, for me, I just prefer it, even in English, because sometimes, oh no, low battery, sorry, 1 second. Even in English, I prefer having subtitles, because I mean, it's not my first language, and I just like still enjoy like reading the words underneath. But on one hand, I'm excited about the idea of not seeing dubbed, no, yeah, dubbed films where you can tell that the mouth is moving to say an English word or any word, and then even just like you know, um Squid Game. Like a lot of my Korean friends were like, it was horribly, horribly dubbed. And I'm like, I don't doubt it. I absolutely believe it. So on one hand, I'm like, maybe they'll help us keep some integrity whilst also being able to like listen fully to the picture, to the foreign picture, without having to read subtitles. Because I know that it turns some people off. Like some people are like, I don't want to watch a foreign film. I don't want to have to read. Like, great, at least like we can have a more authentic experience. At the same time, it frightens me because we're already living in such a world of like reality crisis, that from a political and socioeconomic standpoint, everybody's living their own truths. Every political faction believes exactly and only what they were told, and the like social media algorithms keep merging you with the same thinking people. We're like all trapped in our own bubbles, and there is a reality crisis. Like we can't agree on anything. If you think about America, they're like, one side is like, he stole the election, and the other's like, no, that didn't happen. And still, oh no, years later, some people still think that the election was stolen. Like, how crazy is that? Like, that is insane. But at the same time, that's been happening over and over. It's been happening with like the war in Iraq. Plenty of people thinking that we did something there. We as in, I'm not American, but I've lived here for like 10 years. I'm like, plenty of people thinking that it was the right thing to send troops there, that were like fighting for democracy and like world like peace. And no, that's literally not what happened. It was a war derived by greed and the oil and what have you, and plenty of people died that didn't need to die, and conflicts were exacerbated for a return, for an economic return. And it's fucked up that so many people don't understand that, they don't want to believe that, they don't think that, and they will die not knowing the truth. So if on top of that you add the possibility of AI able to mutate like what somebody's saying, that could be the president of the United States or Saddam Hussein back from the dead, I don't know, like that's crazy. That's crazy, because we're already living in such a precarious state of existence. Like we're barely hanging on to reality, barely, or the truth. So that's dangerous. I'm more so scared about that, like the political implications, social and political implications of AI being used with that in mind, rather than thinking that my skills will be obsolete. Yeah.
Well, if it's already happened and it will get worse, that's what I think. And I know what's going to happen, honestly. I mean, now I don't have the, I mean, I love sci-fi. I love when authors try to predict what's going to happen. But in this case, it's so messy. what's going on with the AI, because we are living in the matrix. Most people think the social media, it's a reality. I have a lot of friends. I'm talking to you right now, but probably a lot of people watch the film and say, oh, it's a nice film, and it's over. I'm always trying to say, okay, I watch the film and say, this is an amazing thing. I want to talk with the writer, director. I want to know and you read Huxley, because I feel that connection. I felt that, but I'm finding that it's more and more difficult to find people that they want to have a real connection. They just, it's weird. I know it. I know it happens and for me, I'm an Argentinian. You are an Italian. We our cultures. We are hangout cultures. We need to connect. Yeah. We will move our arms. We hang out. For me, it's really, it's terrible that.
It's these Americans.
Yeah.
These newborn American kids that don't know. I don't know. I am so torn. I hope I'll be a good parent, because I had amazing parents. Like, I had my parents, God bless them. They always had me like drawing stuff, painting. Like, I did the worst things when I was a kid, thinking that I was like I've not destroyed, but like I've definitely, plastered a wall with paint, thinking, look at me, I'm a genius. And they're like, oh my God, that's gonna cost us money. You're out of your, like, why did you do that? And I was like, what do you mean? But like, obviously I was never handed an iPad to like shut up. I never had the TV on to be like, watch this. So like, I had definitely like my fair amount of like strength. Like, I'll never forget the day that I saw Ferngully, or that I saw Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, like the first one, the original one. Like, I've had my pivotal filmmaking moments as a kid, but that wasn't my life. Like, the screen wasn't at all my life, obviously, with different times. But I do think about that a lot, of like, what kind of parents are we going what kind of parents will our generation be? Because we were raised a certain way, but we're not digital natives, but we're something else.
Well, we are in the middle. We have the same age. I'm 39, so I'm in the middle. But I think it has to do with in what kind of culture and what kind of parents. All my generation in general, all my friends, they were connected to the televisions just to shut up because the parents were busy. So, but in my case, my parents, they don't have a television until I was, I think, 7. They try to incentive imaginations. They started. So I think it's about how your parents, it's a choice. The problem is, for parents, it's more difficult right nowadays to create this protection. I know, especially with social media, because in a way, I don't know. I don't know. What do you think about?
Made a very fair point that it has to also do with privilege. Because if you're a single mother, you're hustling, and you're slammed the whole day. You're so busy. The childcare is expensive. Everything's expensive, and you're by yourself. And you get a second. You don't even get a second to yourself. You need a moment to just cook and make sure that like you're not like setting the house on fire. Will you give your child who's screaming at a cartoon on their iPad? Yes. Like, I get it. Having the privilege to hire a nanny so that you can have your special artistic time with your child, which is how I was raised. Both my parents were working a lot. My mom's always been a huge role model for me because she's always been very ambitious. She's always loved her career very much. She always loved public speaking, and like, that had an effect on me. I have 2 older brothers, and I'm the only daughter. And I do very much feel like I went into a field that's a lot more competitive and a lot more ferocious than my older brothers did. Like, they studied law. One is a professor, and the other one handles legal stuff within a medical clinic. Like, they're protected environments, objectively. I'm like out here, like, I'm in a foreign country, working in an industry that favors men, older men specifically. And so whenever I have the chance to like explain anything about myself or my vision, like, I have to be ferocious. I have to be a businesswoman. I have to be able to like hit all like the buzzwords that they want to hear. And then when I get on set, I have to be able to wrangle 200 people. Like, it takes a lot. And just because it's International Women's Day, which is a silly thing, we shouldn't even be thinking about like it's Women's Day, blah. Like what are the rest of the days? But shout out to my fucking mother, because she is incredible and I love her so much. And I think that mothers do so much that we don't give them credit for. And I think that if I have become in any way, shape, or form somebody who's like good at public speaking and like a leader that has leadership skills, is because of my mom. But my mom had the privilege of being able to get a nanny. And so when she would come home, because she worked the whole day unbothered, when she would come home, she had the time to read me novels and talk to me about Greek mythology or like Italian fairy tales or paint with me, etc. So I do think that it has so much to do also with, it's a bigger conversation. Like we need to make sure that the mothers, all mothers on this planet, and I'm saying mothers because it's fathers are more excused. From a general like POV, the general like perception of fathers is that they're not supposed to be on call 24/7. Like they're supposed to go out and work and come back with resources, but the mom is supposed to stay at home with the kids. Like not all of them, but they're expected to be more present. And so I think that it's important that, you know, if we can like take this conversation and go into politics, it is important that we make sure that we close the pay gap so that women, and we make sure that the maternity leave, paid maternity leave exists, that also paid paternity leave exists, so that fathers can also take time off and stay home with the kids just as much as the mothers do. As long as we are striving towards feminism, we're striving towards equality, then, you know, we will be able to create children, to like raise children in the future that are not going to be so dependent on technology and at the same time isolated. And that could lead to mental illness and other issues. And then there's people shooting down classrooms in America. It's just like it's all connected. Like, and if we empower women, if we make sure that women are financially stable, then families as a whole can be more together, and we lower the risk of creating teen isolation, teen suicide, mental illnesses, etc., because we create a strong family structure. But we can't have a strong family structure if women or parents in general don't have time to take care of their children. So sorry, this like just mushroom exploded into such a bigger conversation. I didn't mean it to like go in all these different directions.
Because this is right. It's necessary. We are analyzing a complex phenomenon. I have also a podcast with sociologists, and I talk with sociologists, and sometimes I mix filmmakers with sociologists, and we talk. Actually, in the festival in Buenos Aires, I'm going to invite some economists that they love sci-fi. I'm going to put it in the same tables with the sci-fi filmmakers, because in a way, I mean, fiction, take Huxley, for example. He was a sci-fi writer, but at the same time, he used that fiction to express something, to express a sociological problem. That I think fiction is a way, and the sci-fi and horror genres, they have this advantage. I don't know if you think the same, but I found the fantasy advantage allegories and genres that are perfect to express this kind of ideas. I don't know if you agree.
100%, absolutely.
I mean, especially horror for me, it's one of the most subversive genres. I mean, it's kind of the rebel, and sometimes it's hated, but generally, if you see, well, you know that in generally horror films, they don't win anything in mainstream awards, and I think it has to do with that.
You think it has to do with the fact that it's an allegory for like?
No, I think it's a rebel genre. It makes people uncomfortable, and it does it in ways that they are not obvious. I mean, that's why I hate the Oscars, because all the movies are about. I mean, I know where you are talking about. You're talking about this problem, this social. Show me that would be an allegory, and it's much stronger to show it as an allegory.
I think it's a very superficial read to not consider horror important of a genre as drama, because the word that you use, the key word here is allegory. Because let's take current. Let's talk about these Oscar nominations. So, Bones and All, Italian director, didn't get a single nomination, whether you know. It was my favorite film of the year. I adored it.
Mhm.
Similarly to film that a horror film that is incredible. Everybody, I mean, a lot of people loved it. Hereditary. So what do these two films have in common? The fact that they use allegories to talk about real threats. So one, hereditary mental illnesses that we inherit from our parents and grandparents, etc., the things that we cannot escape because they're in our DNA, but it's a possession film. Bones and All, it's a zombie, like flesh eating genre, but it's about how like relationships eat us alive. Love can devour us. Like, how beautiful and poetic and stunning is that? Of course, the Oscars were like, no. But talk about Nope. Nope is a very interesting. To me, it was, and again, also one of my favorite films of last year. So, Nope, similarly to, let's say, Fablemans, by Spielberg. They both, in a sense, talk about filmmaking. They both talk about Hollywood, or even just thinking about how Top Gun is, an ode to old Hollywood glory, similar to Avatar, like good old James Cameron, etc. I mean, we're talking about gods of filmmaking, but these all show kind of like give Hollywood and the Academy a little pat on the back. It's like La La Land. It's like, we look so great, guys. Like, our industry's perfect. Everything is perfect. We're the best. And then Nope arrives, or a film like Babylon, that show the darker side of, literally, Nope is like Jaws, but the alien essentially like devours anybody who's chasing fame through like cinematic success. How beautiful and intelligent and like genius is that? That's crazy. Of course, the Academy hated that. they were like, oh, what do you mean? And I'm like, that to me is crazy, because he came through with an original story. It's impeccably shot. Everything is perfect in that film. Everything is perfect in that film. Iconic moments to the max. And I hate to use the word iconic, but because that's like just going, it's like a trendy word now. I like see it left and right, and I'm just like, okay, whatever. Like, I don't know. Everybody's like losing their minds over, like, it was losing their minds over Wednesday's dance. Like, I love Jenna Ortega, but I mean, Wednesday, I'm sorry, but like the Addams Family film, the 1991 one, the one with Angelica
Houston.
Like, you cannot, even with Christina Ricci, you cannot even begin to tell me that Wednesday is better. No. I felt Wednesday was, love Tim Burton, love all the actors, but I'm just saying it felt very childish and very much a mismatch of a bunch of tropes that you've heard and seen before. I don't know why we're talking about Wednesday now. I don't know where this came from, but yeah, I just I realized this year that I was like, well, I guess like everything that they say about the Academy is true, and it's also, yeah, a African American filmmaker. Think about also like Viola Davis, like, didn't get recognition at the Oscars this year either, and I thought Woman King was a beautiful film, and the list goes on and on and on with other filmmakers, and it's just like, it's not, no female filmmakers in the directing like award section, whatever. It's just like, I feel like it's a generational thing. Like, it'll take several generations to like change that.
Yeah,
but if we, somebody like, yeah, that spoke up about it, she was like, it's not fair, or should get a greater recognition. And it's also, again, Nope was a dark film, like dark in the sense that like it was like, just like showing the dark side of all of the things, fame, cinematic success, and what have yous. Literally, the DP that dies wanting to get the perfect shot, amazing, by the way, like. And so I think that, yeah, no, I think that there's a little bit of what you were talking about, of like, yeah, it's a rebel, it's the rebel genre. It makes people uncomfortable, and it's also like it takes somebody who wants to understand metaphors and allegories. It's not so like out in the open. Everything, you know, like you said, it's an allegory for something else. You gotta like put some thought behind it, and instead it's just like quickly miscredited as, oh, it's just like jump scares and what have you, and it's not, obviously. But I do think it has the wrong rep for sure. Also, because if you think about Toni Collette's performance in Hereditary, insane, should have gotten an Oscar. Mia Goth and Pearl, incredible.
Yeah, in literature they have the same problem. I mean, the Nobel Prize is always won by novels, drama novels, whatever, author novels, but never horror. I find it's a different scenario. Actually, a lot of people complain about that. And in Latin America, we have one of the greatest writers. He was a fantasy writer, Jorge Luis Borges. I don't know if you know him. It's amazing.
You need to educate me.
Sorry?
Please educate me. Send me. Send me.
Yeah. I'll send you Borges. I mean, actually, he was a professor in Texas University. Most of all the script writers in Hollywood read Borges. He's like, and the problem is he never won a Nobel Prize. And he said, and to the literature, the literature world, in order to put a label on him, he said, "Oh, you're doing magical realism." No, he was doing fantasy. He was doing allegories, and he was incredible. Also, Julio Cortázar, he will blow your mind. If you like Huxley, I mean, these guys, I've been sending all the Borges short. He always writes short stories because to write a novel is an act of snobism. You want to tell something, tell it short. And
I love it. That's also why I love screenwriting. I love the fact that, I mean, obviously, like, I indulge myself every now and then to like write something like that's, you know, like it's using hyperboles and poetic words, etc. But screenwriting is like, no, shut up, tell me what you see, that's it. And there's something so writing about that, because you can't bullshit. Like you just gotta like, what is the scene about? What it's about, no, what happens, and what do I see? And it's just like, it's, as a writer, I feel like it's a beautiful exercise. And it's also just like, I think the beautiful thing about screenwriting is the idea that, you know, like every hero needs an inciting incident. So every hero starts out with the potential of being the hero, but they're not the hero yet. And it's that moment in which you think everything is lost, or like you think that like your status quo, your world has been turned upside down. Something crazy happens and you're like, fuck. But then you don't realize that you're being planted deep down in the darkness so that you can bloom, so that you can go through a series of ups and downs and trials and tribulations so you can become the hero. And it's beautiful. And I think that, I feel like that I want my children to understand that. I want everybody to understand that. It's like something that every now and then I do like little filmmaking 101, like how to make your first feature film, like talk to like the student, like film students. And I always tell them, treasure your hardships, because it's like, what a beautiful thing to understand that the writer's journey is the hero's journey, and it's every human being's journey. To realize that even when things go wrong, we are given a chance to go in a new direction, and what wonders may come. And it's just, well.
No, well, I will send you all the good thing about Borges. He was bilingual. Like he was an excellent writer in English and Spanish. He translated. Actually, he did a prologue of Ray Bradbury's Martial Chronicle. Actually, because he was no. I mean, William Gibson, you know, the sci-fi writer, Neuromancer. He was a fan of Borges.
To make an adaptation, you need to help me. Do you want to make an adaptation of Neuromancer?
Yeah. Please do it. I get you the money. I don't know how. I sell some of my kidneys or whatever.
Yeah, I want to make a good, like an understandable screenplay version of Neuromancer with my whole heart and soul, like 1000%. I also want to make an adaptation of Muramaki, Hard-Boiled Wonderland, and the End of the World, but it's a crazy book.
Yeah.
These So yeah, no, we should, I don't know who's got the rights to Neuromancer. Somebody's got it.
I can contact Gibson. Gibson was a Borges fan. Actually, he do the prologue for Borges translation to English. I can reach him, and I mean, I can start talking about Borges because he was a fan. When he came here, he always wanted to visit the places where the Borges story occurred here in Buenos Aires. So yeah, I mean, the thing about Gibson is I think it's easier to start with a short story adaptation. Neuromancer, I mean, for example, there hasn't been, I mean, I watched about Ferrara near New Rose Hotel. It's an adaptation of, I like it. I mean, I really like about Ferrara. I have the chance to talk with him a long time ago. I like what he tries to do. But the thing is, start with a short thing. And then if you mess it up, you can, little by little, I think it would be better. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, about the idea of making short stories in general, or
no, about taking one of the short, because Neuromancer, there's a short story that is a short version of Neuromancer. Because to adapt Neuromancer, it would be really, it's. I mean, I'm sure we can convince.
I mean, yeah, no, definitely. Adapting Neuromancer is it's a feat. It's definitely
it would be a hard-boiled detective kind of film. I imagine like that because the inspiration of Gibson was all the 30 police detective noir novels. That was actually he ends with the same sentence of I know the author of L.A. Confidential. I can remember it's a noir novelist.
The opening quote of, I mean, the opening quote of Neuromancer.
No, the final phrase of the book, paraphrase, it's the same sentence they use in this hard-boiled detective novel by this author. I cannot remember.
I prized the opening quote that goes, "The sky above Tokyo was the color of television static," or something like that. With a television static with no channels. My phone is about to die, and I gotta hop off.
Oh well, if you want, we can talk. I mean, I really enjoy talking to you. I mean, you're amazing, and you should talk with Clara. Clara, we organize live with this other producer in LA. I don't know if you heard about Brandon Braga, the guy from Star Trek. He wrote the Star Trek Next Generation episode. He's a Borges fan, and there's a lot of Star Trek Generation written by him that are based in Borges. I didn't know, but I suspicious. And when I met him, I say, "Did you use Borges to write the Star Trek Next Generation?" Yes, of course. I mean, it's Borges, of course.
I would love to do let me know about all of the crazy producer directors that you think I should be meeting.
I made in the Instagram a post about the 6 surreal psychedelic horror. There was your film and Anti-Birth by Danny Perez, Starfish.
Everybody was like, yeah, Anti-Birth was great.
I will. I'm friends with Danny. Well, can you tell him that because he's kind of depressed? He has a really awful experience. The producers hate him. Really, he always have a lot of stress during that film. Really, really, I know that.
I understand being a director's war. Director's war meaning that like the director wants things, the producers don't.
Yeah.
Dies internally, like existentially suffers in such a profound way. But he gets it. Like few people, I feel like when that happens, usually I feel like the person who gets me the most is my director of photography. Like the director of photography, I understand your pain. Yeah, but like can we like get to the end of the day and like figure it out? And I'm like, there's no figuring it out. I'm right. The producers need to give me what I want. It's just like yeah. So I get it.
I will introduce you to all these people because really we need to. I mean, you want to do Neuromancer? We all crazy people. They have to start talking with each other because I'm the one that is connecting them. I know Brandon. I know Danny. I mean, I'm a guy in Argentina connecting people in the States. I mean, that's crazy. Come on, guys, you are living in the same country.
I love this. Us crazy people with each other. I agree.
I mean, I'm Brandon is the producer of The Orville right now. He will come to Argentina to our festival. I will ask him if he want to do the neuromancer thing, and I will introduce you to him right now if you want. I will send him a mail.
Yes, I'd love to.
Yeah.
This was a pleasure. Thank you. Seriously.
No, thank you. I mean, I love to talk about my favorite films, especially with the directors.
It's like-minded people for sure. People that read the same books and understand things. Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If you want to come to Argentina in June for the festival, please come. I mean, it's an indie festival, but we have a lot of good vibes.
What dates?
It's probably we have to change it because Comic Con is in the same day. It will be I think June 9, 10, and 11. The first the second week of June probably.
Interesting. I may have to be in New York by then, but please, yeah, let's be in touch for sure.
Yeah, but Brandon is coming, so you can meet here. We can go to restaurant, and the other guys from the crazy WhatsApp group. Some of them they will come, and also some of them they are here. So we can meet each other, and who knows, maybe Neuromancer. I call Gibson. I will call Gibson right now, actually.
Yeah, that's okay. Well, thank you. Seriously, thank you so much. It's
See you.
a pleasure.
Bye.
Yeah, let's.
Goodbye.